So I'm like, this only makes him look bigger than he is. Because they're making this nigga look like he's a terrorist. Like, yo, if he comes to town, the murder rate is going crazy.
You are not going to believe what just went down. NBA YoungBoy has finally spoken out after being banned from Louisiana, and he is furious. I have exclusive details about what really happened at those New Orleans shows, why the Fed suddenly rolled up thinking his enemies were coming with heavy artillery, and the real reason YoungBoy said, "Forget it," and walked straight through Bourbon Street with no security, like he owned the place. Here's the wild part. YoungBoy saw this coming from the start. He knew the state would try to ban him the second those shows were over. That birthday walk through Bourbon Street was no accident. That was his loud message to the entire system that tried to shut him down. This is way bigger than a rapper being blocked from concerts. This is about how they treat young black men who refuse to bow down and stay quiet. Let me break down the truth about what really went on in Louisiana and how this situation exposed corruption running deep through the system. The return to the home state. To understand all this, we need to go back to October 2024. YoungBoy announced he was finally returning to Louisiana after 7 long years. This wasn't a normal tour date. This was a homecoming. His 26th birthday celebration. A moment to prove he made it, no matter how many obstacles they threw in his path. The second those shows were confirmed, the Louisiana power structure went into full panic. We are talking the same police superintendent in Kirkpatrick, known for pushing urban artists out of New Orleans. She even played a role in keeping Lil Wayne from performing at the Super Bowl in his own hometown. That YoungBoy's team already knew the city, didn't want these shows to happen. New Orleans had major budget issues. They were struggling to pay city workers. Yet suddenly, they had money for 400 extra officers at 2 rap concerts. The math wasn't making sense. This wasn't about safety anymore. This was about control. This was about sending a message that a successful young black man from the streets was not welcome in the place he came from. The federal fear tactics. This is where everything gets crazy. The Fed stepped in claiming they had intelligence, that YoungBoy's enemies were headed to the concert with heavy firepower. They claimed people from Chicago were coming to start a war. They told New Orleans police that Kodak Black's people were rolling in to cause chaos. Shootouts. Blood everywhere. Total mayhem. None of it was true. There was never a real threat. No Chicago crew. No Kodak crew. The feds were pushing fake fear, trying to scare the city into canceling the concerts or make the cost so high that YoungBoy couldn't afford to go through with it. YoungBoy's team didn't flinch. They paid the extra security costs. More than $400,000 per show just to make a point. You want to play games? We can play them better. Proof they were wrong. Both shows happened without a single major issue. Over 17,000 fans each night. The worst problems were a few people trying to sneak in and some normal crowd fights. Nothing different than any other big event. Yet the police and media tried to spin lies. They even reported a gunshot that never happened. It was just equipment being moved. YoungBoy performed, stayed out of trouble, showed love to his fans. The establishment didn't care. They already decided he would be banned again, and they were willing to twist the story to justify it. The birthday walk. After the second show ended, on his birthday, YoungBoy found out Superintendent Kirkpatrick was already planning to block him from future Louisiana performances. It didn't matter that nothing bad happened. They simply didn't want him there, and so YoungBoy said, "Forget all of you." He walked through one of the most famous streets in America, Bourbon Street, completely alone. No bodyguards. No entourage. Just him in his city. This was not a reckless move. It was strategic. He wanted the world to witness how the people really feel about him. If he was such a danger, why did thousands of fans rush to celebrate it with nothing but love? Police only stepped in because the crowd got so big it shut down traffic. No violence. No threats. Just pure respect for a kid who beat the odds. Here is what really pushed Louisiana officials over the edge. YoungBoy's shows brought huge money into the city, and the politicians did not get their cut. The Smoothie King Center made millions. Hotels were packed. Restaurants were overflowing. Fans flew in from everywhere. Yet the city barely profited because they wasted so much money trying to control him. Sources say the shows generated over $1.25 billion of total economic activity. Still, the city could not even brag about that because they spent fortunes paying overtime to 400 officers that did not need to be there in the first place. YoungBoy was even paying most of the security costs himself. Imagine that. A global superstar paying hundreds of thousands of dollars just to perform in his own home state. Then the very same people he helped profit complain about him anyway. The truth is simple. The problem was never safety. The problem was that YoungBoy represents something they cannot control. He came from nothing, from the toughest neighborhoods in Louisiana. He beat every obstacle they threw at him. And now he is more powerful and more influential than almost any politician trying to shut him down. The morning after his birthday walk, Alex Juni, YoungBoy's manager, posted that Superintendent and Kirkpatrick had banned him from performing in Louisiana for as long as she remains in power. He wrote, "Shout out to Twinkie Twinsky for telling us we're never allowed to perform in Louisiana again." Here is the truth they do not want people to know. A police superintendent cannot legally ban someone from performing in an entire state. That is not how the law works. Instead, she launched a campaign to intimidate venues and promoters. She threatened them with outrageous security costs and harassment from police. This is the same tactic they have used for years against successful black artists. They pretend it is about public safety, but it is really about shutting down voices they cannot control. Multiple sources say she was planning this ban even before the concert happened. She used that birthday walk as her excuse, calling YoungBoy reckless and dangerous, when in reality the crowd was full of love. The real reason is darker. His success exposes how the system has failed thousands of other young people who never got the chance he fought for. YoungBoy fights back. Here is where the story takes a turn. YoungBoy is not taking this quietly. He is already meeting with top civil rights lawyers to sue both the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. His legal team claims the ban is pure discrimination and violates his constitutional rights. They have evidence that white artists with criminal backgrounds have been allowed to perform without any special restrictions. They are also preparing complaints to the Department of Justice over the FBI's false intelligence reports. If they prove federal agents lied to justify their involvement, this could lead to major lawsuits worth millions. And that is just the legal side that YoungBoy is planning to use his voice like never before. Sources say he is working on a documentary exposing how Louisiana uses safety as an excuse to silence successful black men. He wants the world to see the system that tried to erase him. Economic warfare. Since they can no longer arrest him, they are trying to destroy his career financially. Louisiana would rather lose millions than admit they were wrong about him. That kind of thinking is exactly why the state ranks near the bottom in the country for economic growth. Meanwhile, other states are ready to welcome him with open arms. Texas, Georgia, Florida, and more will take the tours, and the money that Louisiana's loss is everybody else's gain. The message is clear. If you come from a hood and rise too high, they will try to push you back down. They do not want a kid like YoungBoy inspiring the next generation. They want young black success to be rare, controlled, silent, the constitutional battle. YoungBoy's legal team is building a serious case. They say Louisiana is violating First Amendment, his right to perform and speak through his music. 14th Amendment, his right to equal treatment under the law. This fight is no longer about concerts. This is about freedom. This is about civil rights. This is about making sure the next kid growing up in Baton Rouge does not get punished just for dreaming big. YoungBoy's legal team already has proof that the security demands placed on him were far stricter than what other artists receive, including white performers with criminal records. That is exactly the kind of unequal treatment civil rights laws were created to stop. The federal involvement makes this even more serious. If YoungBoy can show that FBI agents spread false intelligence to justify harassment, the government could face huge financial penalties and be forced to change policies. Here is the bottom line. YoungBoy is not backing down. He has the money, the lawyers, and a global platform to expose the truth. Louisiana tried to intimidate him. They tried to control him. They thought he would fold under pressure. They picked the wrong target. This case has the power to shape the future. If YoungBoy wins a civil rights lawsuit, It will become much harder for cities to use public safety as an excuse to discriminate against black entertainers ever again. The irony is undeniable. While they tried to silence him, they accidentally gave him a microphone that is louder than ever. YoungBoy is already preparing a documentary that will expose systematic oppression in Louisiana. Millions of people will watch how officials treat young, successful black men who refuse to bow down. That birthday walk through Bourbon Street was not just a celebration. It was a statement, a claim to his home, proof that he belongs there just as much as anyone else. The fact that officials twisted that moment of love and unity into a reason to ban him shows exactly what is wrong with the system. This battle is only beginning. YoungBoy is ready to take this fight as far as it needs to go, even to the United States Supreme Court. And when he wins, this will become a landmark moment for every black artist who deserves the freedom to perform, succeed, and inspire without being punished for it. So what do you think? Will YoungBoy win his civil rights case against Louisiana? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you hit subscribe because this story is nowhere near finished. The system tried to break him, but all they did was create a stronger, smarter, and even more determined fighter for justice.